What up, everybody? What up, everybody? Let's get to the spot. Let's get to the spot. All right, we're going to get this going today. This is Plan Your Greatness, and I am your gracious host, Carlton Hamilton. And let's get right at it. All right, here's the deal. This is let's do our little weigh-in. I'm at 255. I'm holding steady, getting back into the regular program. And so just trying to get back on the regular schedule. Got a goal November 4th. Want to be look super sexy at that point where I can jump back in the game. All right. So representing my city, I always next time I go, I'm gonna try to get some more stuff. I got a Bulls shirt, I got a Blackhawks gray, and I got this Blackhawks. So I need to get some Bears and some other stuff so I can rock that. But all right, this is chapter 6. Chapter 6 is a typical day. And when I mean a typical day, because the book has a lot to do with my prison experience, this is a typical day in prison. All right. So what I want to do is give you a little bit of insight as to what is going on in a typical day. But more specifically, I want to give you kind of what's happening mentally, what my mind was going through, what was a lot of the inmates going through, what happens to you if you don't grab a hold of what's going on, how that can go on and end up impacting you for the rest of your life. All right, so typical day, about 5:15 a.m., you're going to hear this sound, get ready for chow. You're going to hear that sound over the loudspeaker where they're announcing, hey, you need to start getting ready. That ready could be in 90 seconds or it could be in 10 minutes. You don't know what it is. So you need to get your behind out of that bed, throw off them prison blankets, and get from on them prison sheets. They might be nice and warm, because it's cold. You're gonna have to get in there and wash your face in this nasty prison sink, look in that mirror, wishing it was someone else. If you got to take a shit in the morning, you got to pee in the morning, especially if you got to take a shit, you're gonna have to sit on a cold steel toilet. And if it's lasting any longer, you're gonna give a little courtesy flush. You are gonna freeze your ass off as that water is swirling around, hitting that metal, freezing your ass, or you get a frozen booty. Okay, especially if it's in the wintertime. All right, so now you're brushing your teeth with about a 3-inch toothbrush, and now you're trying to scramble and get yourself your clothes and everything ready, and then you hear this other signal that says, what does it say? Get ready for chow. Or no, get ready for chow. No, prepare for chow. So it's either in that order, whatever. One of them says the other, and then that could be anywhere from, again, 2 seconds to 2 minutes. Pop, they pop the door open. Boom, you're busting out. Got your clothes on, you're ready. And remember in elementary school when you were going down to the lunchroom or you were going down to pee, or you were going somewhere with your classroom. A lot of times they had you guys doing like the baby elephant walk, and you were holding each other's hand. That's basically what you're doing on the way from your cell down to the chow hall. You just ain't holding anybody's hand, but you're single file, walking down to the chow. Now, you're getting in line. From about the time you get your food, you got about 7 minutes. From the time you sit down at that table, you got 7 minutes. So I don't care what you got on that plate. If somebody owes you food and you got all these extra stuff, you can't take it back to your cell. You got 7 minutes to eat that food. So bam. So you're scarfing this stuff down like it's no tomorrow. And then you're getting back. Single file line, heading back to your cell. Now here's what got me is that when you get back to your cell, I always thought about this, and then when I was writing the book, I really articulated this. When you get back to your cell, it's one thing when you leave the cell and you lock it. You're on the outside. Your mentality is I have a little freedom. But when you get back to your cell, guards don't come by and close your door. You do. You physically have to go in your cell, and it requires a little bit of strength. You can't just push the door closed. It's heavy, and it has this locking system on it that if you don't push it with enough force, it won't close. So you physically sometimes have to push on that door to close it. And I always thought that was something that would mess with everybody's mind, because you are now participating in your ass being locked down for the rest of the day. And this may sound like I'm going off the rails a little bit, but I always, once I started to analyze that, I said, is that similar to the process where they just beat down the slaves, beat down the slaves, beat down the slaves, beat down the slaves, till the slaves basically enslaved themselves from behavior. Because if you think about it, nobody is just going to allow somebody to just have their way with them. And if this system, there's, I'm not going to get off in this debate whether it was or was not. The fact of the matter is we have so much documentation that says that it was. So if in fact this is true, the system is only going to be forced upon people at some point. Then after that, it becomes a perpetual behavior. And we've seen this in our communities, the way that we do things, and that's a whole nother video for a whole nother time. But that was just something that I looked at as far as I'm locking myself in. Man, that messed with me mentally for a long time. All right, so now you're in here. You're dealing with your cellmate. You're dealing with other inmates on the yard. You're dealing with the correctional officers. Everybody is in this very universal universe, this one song of what prison is like. Okay? There's this ideology. And basically recidivism is everywhere because everybody is telling you your life is over. You ain't shit. Oh, you getting out soon? Nigga, you'll be back in here. That was the prevailing idea from everyone. And so we see that with such a high, in my opinion, the recidivism rate is probably 90-something%. Okay, so all these folks are coming back. So that mentality that they have is, hey, brother, it don't matter whether you're in here or out there, the system gonna get you. They either gonna try to get you locked back up in here, or they're gonna give you some old shitty job and you're not gonna be able to do anything, or they're gonna have such a overseer on you that it's gonna just make you miserable and you're gonna end up going back and doing the same thing. You see that thing just goes circle, it's just terrible. Okay, so this is beating down on you every single day. And it reminded me of, you become very comfortable with your prison time. In the movie The Shawshank Redemption, Morgan Freeman says this, because there was a guy that got out, he couldn't handle it, he ended up hanging himself. Where's that quote that I had? God dang it. Hold on a second. Right here. Got it. All right. Ellis Boyd Redding, or Morgan Freeman, he says, these walls are funny. First you hate them, then you get used to them. Enough time passes, it gets so you depend on them. And that's what I noticed, is that with individuals, you get in here locked up, you start embodying that this is it. This is what I'm going to do. So just back and forth. I saw too much of it. In the almost 4 years that I was in prison, I saw so many guys get out and come back. It just boggled my mind. They went out, they came right back. All right. And think about this. We have state budgets that are based off of 3rd, 4th, and 5th grade reading, writing, arithmetic scores. That they go, oh, based on that, we know that individual ain't going to make it down the road. And what they're going to end up doing, they're going to end up going off the rails into a life of crime. All right. So this crazy, that whole idea is just being perpetuated. So what I looked at is that if you start, hold on a second. I didn't get the lighting and the sound. See, so busy trying to get this message out. I'm missing. See, look at that beautiful lighting. Oh my goodness. All right. But here's the deal. If you're in that mindset and you allow yourself to get sucked into that, you question whether you have value to the marketplace. And then even deeper, you question if you have value to the world. Okay? Then that carries on to what they call in sociology trained incapacity, where you see any of the skills that you have, you do not see some sort of connection to it having value in the world. And of course, if you don't see anything that you have, whatever it's your looks, your height, your athlete, your strength, your intellect, whatever your skills that you have, maybe an uncle or something showed you how to do something. If you don't see those values, if you see your felony being too much of a hurdle, you're done. because you're going to get out here and go, I have no value. I actually have some value in the system in some crazy way. Like, what was his name? Brooks Hatlin. He had value. He was the guy in the library. So in Shawshank Redemption. All right. So you have to be very careful with that. And I put a note, kind of a slash on these notes there, because right at that point, you have to be very intentional, very deliberate in your imagination, in what you see yourself doing, what value you have in creating that goal. Again, you get this goal. The other thing with that is, as you are setting that goal, you have to understand, you have to accept where you are right now. You cannot overlook that. And I made sure I grabbed this book right here. Viktor Frankl's Man's Search for Meaning. He states it very clearly in that, is that it's one thing to look at your past and say how great it was, look at your future and what the possibilities you might, but you better bring your ass right back here, embrace that you are in a bad situation and make the best out of it. Because if you don't do that, you are not going to be able to build any strength to endure, because you're dreaming in the future and you're reminiscing about the past. None of those are going to build you any strength. You need to look at this and go, how much strength can I build out of this being in here right now? So that's the thing. Look at the past. Yeah, I was great. Look at the future. Man, I'm going to do some great things. But you better come back to the now, because if you're not getting busy now, you ain't going to have no future. All right? So you must take responsibility again for that past. Again, some of it. Some people's parents, uncles, whatever, they dealt you a bad hand. All right, forgive them. Or just say, hey, look, I understand what you handed me. Because it's like a running back. They handed you the football and you took off running. You're looking for holes and everything with this flaw. The football is a flawed pass. Okay? You had every reason. You could have stopped and punted that shit right out of the stadium. All right? But no, this is what you did. You took it and you ran with it. And right now, some of you still got that football in your hand. Man, fumble that thing. Get rid of it. Go play a new sport. You know what I'm saying? Metaphorically, go do something else instead of just carrying that football that just raggedy pass. All right, chuck it. Get rid of it. All right. So take responsibility for that and say, yep, where I'm at right now today. Because at some point in time, that person stopped having an influence over you. So now take advantage or take responsibility for where you're at right now. So where you at right now, this is your fault. So what you going to do with it? Stop blaming anyone else. You know, they're all done. They gave you a bad hand. Now, what are you going to do with it? Play with that hand. All right. So the understanding is, if you do not do that, if you let all those things just weigh down on you, you become what I call a prisoner in the free world. And in that chapter, I break down the dilemma of the poverty conscious, which is really just saying you are a prisoner in the free world. I'm going to break that down for you quickly, because in the book, I really give it layers and details. It goes like this. You look at your life and you say, my life sucks. So instead of you fixing or correcting, come on, get in focus, baby. Get in focus. There we go. Okay. Let me get right here. Okay. Some of us, okay, we look at our lives and say it sucks. Then what we do is we try to get out of our own lives and go do something with someone else. Help somebody else, bring some light, some positive thoughts, donate our time. We constantly do that. And you know what's going to happen with that? That's like when you hand that bottle of water or you give that bum some change. You know who's going to feel good about that? Really? You. You're going to feel, man, you're going to feel good. You're going to be like, man, I'm so blessed to just have these great things in my life. So I'm going to go ahead and give some. That's what the dilemma of the poverty conscious. You give some. Now, what happens is, after a while, you got to go back home. You can't be hanging out with them bums all day. You can't be out at the VA hospital and down at the church all day long. Okay? You need to come back to your world. So what happens when you come back to your world? You look around and go, my life sucks. And you know why it sucks? Because you have not tried to address all the things that are going on in your life. and it just becomes a circle. It becomes very circular. Go out, feel good. Come back, feel like shit. Go out, feel good. Come back, feel like shit. Okay? You have to take a moment to address the things and the root causes of why you look at your life and think that it feels like shit. You can change it. And I'm here to tell you, 1,241 days that I was in prison, I took the steps, and it wasn't, it wasn't easy. But I took the steps to do that. All right, so prisoner in a free world, okay? The self-talk part of that is what really kills you. You have this bad self-talk and you look at yourself, and I'm saying that I used to do that. Oh, Carlton, you underachieved. You're dumb, special ed, your bad home environment, everything. I'm sitting over there just beating myself down. And then finally I just go, you know what? I need to stop talking so bad about myself and talk more specifically about what I can do about those deficiencies and everything. And so I started addressing them one by one, moment by moment, day by day. And so this is why I'm able to talk anyone through this process right now. All right, so again, that cycle continues because you're not addressing the real problem. All right, because what you need to do at that point is you have to make a concerted effort to refocus. And I wrote some little notes down. Refocus, because you need to get busy living or get busy dying. And what I did was I set some really solid goals. And the one, I don't know if I mentioned it before, it was, does a college degree trump a felony? I had a bunch of other goals. Motivational speaker. I wanted to be an author, a business owner. But I said, this is the number one goal because I want to be able to prove to myself that I could finish that. And I want to shut up all these people that I heard in prison that, it doesn't matter what you do, your life is over. I said, well, let me see if education is as powerful as I think it is. And the answer to that question is yes and no. It is very powerful. And what I learned is that the journey of getting that degree made me, that library that I have, this library over here and other books that you don't see, all this other stuff was because of that journey. I became so much smarter. I became so much more articulate. I became so much more confident. Not because I have the degree right here, okay? It's not because I have that degree. And most of the time I'm standing in front of it, okay? But when I'm in the office just sitting and chilling, I'm a little bit lower and, then you can kind of see it. But here's the deal. It's not the degree. It's not the piece of paper. It's what I do with it, and it's what I actually became on that journey to becoming who I am here today as far as Mr. Plan Your Greatness. All right, so with that said, I want to give you this quote. I came up with this because I was talking to somebody because my kid's mother tried to shame me as I was digging myself out of this hole that I had dug in life, that she saw me really trying to grind and make money so I could have things and, so I could, spend time with my kids. And we would go to the park and we wouldn't spend very much money, but then, hey, a little piece of candy here, an ice cream here, do something like that. You need to have some shekels in your pocket. So she would always say, oh, your dad is just controlled by money and everything. And I said, look, your dad is not controlled by money because your dad understands that money isn't everything, but it's everything else. Let that sit for a little bit. Money isn't everything, but it's everything else. All right? Just wanted to leave you with that one. Now, all right. So here's the challenge. I always have a little challenge at the very end of each one of these videos. My challenge is, what are you doing or what did you do your past 24 hours? Okay? Because I just broke down a very typical day of somebody in prison, or basically broke down my day in prison and how I was able to turn that around and make that day very impactful for me during my time in prison and for the rest of my life. All right, that's the first thing. What are you doing with your 24 hours? The other thing is, and I do this before I go to bed, I'm either listening to something very positive or I'm actually saying, not affirmations, but I'm saying something very positive about my day or something. And when I get up in the morning, I'm doing the same thing. I'm getting up, I'm either turning on a video, something very positive. So my challenge to you is, before you go to bed, make sure those last thoughts are very positive, inspiring, empowering thoughts for you. Okay, not for anyone else, just for you. And when you get up in the morning, make sure that those first words that you are speaking to yourself are positive, inspiring thoughts for you. And if you want to do it in the form of a video, turn on YouTube. I mean, there's millions of videos out there that are very positive and inspiring. So there's no reason to get up all raggedy and cranky, and there's no reason to go to bed that way. All right, this is Plan Your Greatness, and this is Carlton Hamilton. Thank you guys all for joining me on this video. We'll be having a bunch of them. I think it's like number 70 in my video count. But again, this is Carlton Hamilton. This is Plan Your Greatness. I'm gonna say this again: plan your greatness. Why? Because no one else will. I'll see you all next time.